This is Not Your Average Bucket List by Only in Your State, a podcast about exploring the hidden gems right in your own backyard. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Bucket List by Only in Your State. My name's Marissa and I'm here with Sarah. Hi Sarah.
Hey Marissa, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I am okay. Enjoying the November weather right now.
Right. I wish I could say that, but in Florida, that's a no for me.
Oh no.
It's 80 degrees, but somehow I still
Whoa.
manage to wear my sweatshirts. I don't know how, but
Mhm. Mhm.
a lot of side eyes when I go out. Anywho, we took a couple weeks off from recording for anybody that has missed us. We had the opportunity to go to Santa Monica with our Only in Your State team, and we were able to meet in person and go over a lot of great things in the direction of Only in Your State. And for anybody that's not familiar with onlyinyourstate.com, we are a huge travel resource. So anywhere you want to go in the United States, we provide you with hidden gems, restaurants, local favorites, events, you name it, we cover it. And Sarah and I got to meet in person about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and it was great. I had such a great time. I had so much fun with the team. I don't know if you want to share your thoughts about your experience.
So yeah, I had a great time meeting everyone, seeing you in person. I know that we all are living in a remote work world, or we've experienced the transition to many companies going to work from home, remote work, but it's always good to collaborate in person. And I don't know if you know this, Marissa, but I love to travel. So flying out to California was fantastic. I've really missed it. So that was a plus for me.
Yeah, it was a blast. And I loved that. Shout out to Catherine Armstrong, the senior manager of the people department, who put together so many fun things for us to do as a team. I think that was my favorite part, is just a lot of the team building stuff we did in the spirit of
Yes,
travel. So, like the scavenger
absolutely.
hunt. Yeah. Did you have a favorite part of the whole experience?
Honestly, I was about to say what you just mentioned, the scavenger hunt. This hyper localized scavenger hunt via a phone app that just lets you discover things near you in a city. And I just think it was such a charming thing to do.
Yeah, it was a blast. I want to say the company is called Let's Roam.
It is, yeah.
We're not sponsored by them. However, it was a great app to use, and we had such a blast exploring Santa Monica and answering trivia questions. So that would be yeah, Let's Roam. I would recommend
Yes.
that if you're visiting a new city.
Or even if you live in the city, I lived in Santa Monica for a while and I never did any of the things the app wanted us to do. I walked by
Mm,
that park every day and I never stopped to explore it.
cool. Well, that's good to know too. I'm
Hmm.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure that I have one I could probably use here in Florida that will give me a completely different insight into the area where I live. So that's cool.
Hmm. And I think that's a great aspect of any sort of editorial on a town you might live in. So, say small town getaways, this podcast. If we feature your town or a town you're familiar with, I would still encourage you to listen, participate, call and give us tips because I think even if you become blind to the area you live in, right? So,
Yes.
being able to experience it in podcast form might give you some different insight or perspective.
Yeah. And that's a really great segue into something that we haven't really talked about much before, our phone number
Hmm.
that we have, that all of our listeners, you can call this phone number and you can leave us a voicemail. You can also text the phone number too if you want to just send a text and share with us your thoughts about a small town that we've already featured, maybe a small town in your state that you love. And we are going to play a majority of these clips in the podcast. So the phone number is 805-298-1420. And anybody listening, that if you have a small town, because that's our theme for this season, if you have a small town in the US that you love and you think we should know about, or something
Mhm.
we've already shared, please make sure to call, leave a voicemail. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. And even if it's just sharing something that maybe we touched on or didn't know at all, like it doesn't have to be a tip. It could be, hey, did you know that the Mothman originated in our town? Which maybe we'll cover eventually, but something like that would still be fun to share. And like Marissa said, you would be featured on the podcast. So, yes, please call in.
Yeah. I would love to get some insider tips about local spots that, that people should know about, restaurants, especially coffee shops for me personally. That would be really cool.
Yep.
So today we're going to Ohio, which is where
Yes.
you live, right?
Yes, born and raised. I've moved away many times and eventually always moved back. So
All
it has
right,
something. It has
Ohio.
that sauce.
Yeah, it's a magnet in
Right.
Ohio. So we're talking first. I need to ask about pronunciation because I've
Oh,
heard
Lord.
this town pronounced a bunch of different ways. So I heard that it was Lebanon, and then I also heard Lebanon, and then I heard Lebanon, like the country. Do you have any insight into which is correct?
So I'm not from this area of Ohio. I'm from Northeast Ohio. Well, e- actually born slightly bottom of Northeast Ohio, and I would say Lebanon. But as we know, I am absolutely terrible with pronunciation. As much traveling as I do, and I love trying to like assimilate to every new area. I don't know how I'm getting this so wrong. So I say Lebanon, like the country,
Okay.
but I have a feeling that regional um, dialect and kind of like accents might change that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if it's just kind of like a Midwestern accent because everyone I heard pronounce it, they were saying Lebanon,
Hmm.
which yeah, I guess I would say Lebanon. That would be probably that's how I've been saying it in my head all
Right?
along.
Yep.
But so yeah, okay, we'll roll with that. Lebanon, Ohio.
Hmm.
Um, what's your initial thoughts about this small town? And also, actually, would you consider this a small town? How would you define a town versus a city?
That is really what my first thought was because
Okay.
whenever I thought of Lebanon, Ohio, I'm familiar with the main street and the photos of it, but then whenever I saw the population was over 20,000, I was like, "Whoa. Okay, hold on."
Yeah.
um
Right.
it's like a little big city. I think that's
Yes.
part of the small towns that we covered, and it's definitely on the bigger size.
Yeah.
But it does look like a small town, oddly enough.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point. It does. It's very quaint and just I would say the population size because it's kind of hard. Towns you have it's like at least 5,000 people.
Yep.
Cities usually have at least 50,000 if you're, using a textbook definition of either. So Lebanon's kind of somewhere in the middle at 20,000 people. So I
Yes.
think exactly as you said, it's like a small big city or
Yeah.
a big small town.
Right. Well, and just to give some context, I grew up in a place that was under 2,000, so it wasn't even a town, it was a village. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, which honestly, I could draw a lot of similarities between the two, even with the immense difference in size. But yeah, it's to me, it seems like a big place, but I'm coming from a much smaller area.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. So that initially was my first thought was, okay, is this a town? Is this a city? Somewhere in between.
Hmm.
So we've landed somewhere in between. I've personally never heard of this small town before. I had no idea where it was. So for me researching, I was starting at zero, which I think makes it more fun and exciting because I was coming into this without any preconceived notions, any idea of what this place had to offer, which made, doing research and seeing what there is, everything was new to me.
Yeah, this is gonna tarnish my Ohio cred, but honestly, whenever I first started researching this, before I looked at the map, I swore it was like in Southeast Ohio. And then I see, oh,
Hmm.
it's right by Cincinnati. I was absolutely wrong. So whoops.
Well, you learn something new every day.
Right? Yeah.
So yeah, geographically, So it's close to Cincinnati. It's about an hour from Dayton,
Mhm.
and the town, city, small city, big town, is slightly less than 13 square miles in size. So it's not huge by
Right.
any means in terms of geography.
Mhm.
Um, so did you come across some fun historical tidbits that you want to share, or like, initial thoughts, facts that really just stood out to you about Lebanon?
So I think it's just the amount of history that's in this little big city question mark that really shocks me because I feel like I come across historic towns in this state all of the time, but it was established what in the 1790s, and the Golden Lamb in Lebanon is Ohio's oldest hotel, opened in 1803. For some reason it never struck me as like, oh yes, this is one of the first places, but I guess with its proximity to maybe a river and how things were progressing in terms of settlements, that would make sense.
Hmm.
So that was shocking to me. But also, I didn't realize that where it's housed, Warren County, is considered Ohio's largest playground. Like that's their tagline: Warren County, Ohio's largest playground.
Ooh, okay. What's the context behind that?
I think with theme parks and zoos and everything in the area, it's just like a sort of a dense area of fun things to do. So that, makes total sense. I'm from up north. So if I think about an amusement park, I would consider Cedar Point like the place to go. But I feel
Hmm.
like, what is it? Six Flags is down. Yeah, Six Flags Ohio is down that way, I believe. So that and the zoo just really makes it a place to go visit, in addition to all of the natural things that you can do in the area.
Cool. That's awesome. I found out that there were a lot of movies that have been filmed here in Lebanon. Um, Milk Money, which I don't know if you've heard of that movie. It was one of my
Oh,
favorites growing up.
hold on. I think I'm wrong. It's Kings Island. Woof.
Is what?
The amusement park. You know what? Ohioans, I'm sorry. But yes. Anyway, Milk Money. I am not familiar actually.
Yeah, Ed Harris, Melanie Griffith. It was a really good movie. Also, The Old Man and the Gun and Carol.
I
Uh,
did know about Carol. Yeah.
yeah, that's really cool that this is the place where people come to film movies. And it's interesting because I know Carol was a more of a period film.
Mhm.
So I'm sure the charm and the architecture and the history of the area, that's probably why they chose it as the
Yeah.
backdrop for this film.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was such a great movie, and I really did enjoy the like the period stylings of it. So that was, yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense. Also,
Yeah.
apparently some Hallmark movies, The Christmas Spirit.
Ooh,
Yeah, right? So
love that.
mhm. Once again, the charm and, just its proximity, I think, to Cincinnati as well probably lends a lot of movie and, film people being able to go there, so it's easy to commute to.
Yeah, and also I did read that this town city was incredibly walkable,
Mhm.
that you really don't need, especially in the Main Street area, you don't need to have a car. That if you're
Yeah.
visiting, you can walk it and go from place to place, and or I'm sure bike it too, scooter it, whatever you feel. But that's probably, I mean, for me, walkability is huge. I know you've said that before. When you're visiting a new place, walkability is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is, and it did take me by surprise that it had such a good walk score because for me and my experience in the state that when you get close to a city, so like Columbus or Cleveland, obviously there's going to be walkable areas, but usually just not a separate town. So Cuyahoga Falls or Hudson Stowe, there's some like clusters of walkable towns, but it's usually just the downtown area. So having such a, expansive walkable area, I think is a big draw for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of what Lebanon, Ohio is known for, or what, the I guess the crux of the whole thing, Did you find that it's more history based? Did you find that it's more like it's a modern now, a modern vacation spot? What was your finding in terms of what it's really known for?
Yeah, I would say definitely that historic aspect and being able to visit and go to, Ohio's oldest hotel and know that it
Mm,
was settled very early. And also, there is a historic railroad that's running through it. So, the Lebanon Mason Monroe Railroad offers historic
cool.
train rides from downtown. They do a Christmas North Pole Express. So, if you're familiar with the Polar Express, a train ride, similar to that. And I'm sure they have everyone dress up in their gym jams and go, listen to the book get
Nice.
read. So, yeah, those were the main aspects. And actually, Denison, one of the towns I grew up in, they were very much relied on the historic railroad that was in town. So we were a rail town, and they also did the similar things, historic rides and Polar Express and all that. So it felt very familiar to me.
Very cool. That's awesome. Actually, we do have an article on onlyinyourstate.com about this North Pole train ride. So anybody
Hmm.
that wants to take a look, did you say it's the Cuyahoga? Am I am I massacring that?
So Cuyahoga.
Cuyahoga, right?
Yeah.
That was my next guess.
Yeah.
Cuyahoga Railroad. So we have an article up on onlyinyourstate.com about it being the best Polar Express train ride in Ohio. So anybody that's
Mm-hmm.
interested in some holiday stuff, you can go ahead and check that out over there.
Yeah,
Um,
and I will say that although not in Lebanon, but the Cuyahoga Valley National Park where the train runs through is gorgeous, so it is a big reason to use that rail line.
cool. I did come across this really interesting, I'm going to say, urban legend about Lebanon that it's called
Ooh,
the
okay.
Shaker Curse. Did you hear about
Okay.
this at all?
No.
Okay. So apparently, since Lebanon is very close to Cincinnati, there is a legend going around as to why it didn't grow to be as big as Cincinnati over the
Mhm.
years. And it's called the Shaker Curse. And basically, during their migration, the Shakers chose an area outside of town that was a great place for them to live, create a homeland, create a life. There was disagreement amongst the locals and about the Shakers staying there, and it turned out that the Shakers supposedly placed a curse on the city to hinder the city's prosperity.
Huh.
And yeah,
Okay.
that's the urban legend. I think in reality, from my understanding, the Shakers thrived in the area. They built a settlement a little bit west of Lebanon called Union Village, and yeah, that's probably the true story. But I love a good urban legend.
Absolutely, although I don't think that Shakers were the cursing kind, but maybe I'm wrong.
Right. Right.
But all
Interesting.
right.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what? That is really interesting. I love weird lore, and I did not hear that. I was looking for some. Found some ghost walks and potentially hauntings, but
Hmm.
nothing as good as a curse. So
Yeah.
right.
Right. So also, like, I've found some really fun, interesting, weird facts about Lebanon that I just kind of jotted down. Neil
Mhm.
Armstrong lived in Lebanon for 23 years after the moon landing,
Oh,
which I thought was neat.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, USA Today called Lebanon one of the 10 great places to browse for antiques.
Yes, there are a lot of I feel like this topic has come up before with small towns, but there was a lot of antique shops you could go to and
Yeah.
might be part of my day. We'll see. But
Right. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Spoiler alert.
I know, giving myself away. But yeah, I feel like they had a lot of great antiques shoppings and malls, things like that.
Yeah, true. So for you and what you've researched about Lebanon, what would you recommend to be the best time of year to visit?
Okay. So I'm just basing this off of my long history as an Ohioan. I feel like so here's this thing that I've heard said, and I feel like I repeat it a lot, and I've never heard anyone enjoy it. But here's what it is. So Ohio has 4 seasons. Yeah, we
Mhm.
have almost winter, winter, still winter, and construction. So it is. I would say avoid the winter. I'm sure it's very, very, very charming, and they're not going to get as much snow as maybe you know people up in the snow belt, things like that. So I'm sure it's charming, and there was even a Hallmark movie filmed there, so I feel like a
Hmm.
drive-through during the winter would be amazing. Have a drive-through light display, go on the Polar Express. You can make an argument for winter, but as an Ohioan,
Okay.
I'm not one to travel in the winter like that. So,
Right.
honestly, I would say maybe from so we can still get snow in April. So, but maybe like May to June, or then alternatively September to November. Like this November has been gorgeous in Ohio. So it would have been an amazing time to visit Lebanon, I think.
Okay. So you think the best time to visit Lebanon is anytime from April to November, covering kind of spring, end of spring, summer, early fall.
Yeah. And maybe not like dead of summer because we still get pretty hot here, but I would say spring and fall definitely. Um, but like I said, with everything going on in the winter, you can make a case to say, yes, I want my charming Hallmark movie moment in Lebanon. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I did hear that they have a huge holiday parade the first weekend in
Ooh,
December.
okay.
Yeah, it's a horse-drawn carriage parade that,
Oh, nice.
yeah, people come from all over to see these horse-drawn carriages all lit up, and it's a big parade. And I'm sure exactly as you're explaining, the town gets very charming, quintessential holiday season stuff. So it sounds like it would be a good
Yeah.
time.
All right, maybe I will change my answer. That sounds like a core memory. Like if you're taking people
Right.
on a ride, like your kids or family, your partners, just like, yeah, let's go see something holiday-esque. Then yeah, that sounds great. Um,
Yeah,
okay.
definitely. I also found out there's a country apple fest, which is a
Mm.
2 day arts and crafts fest in September.
Oh,
That takes
nice.
place every year. Yeah. And in August, the Lebanon Blues Festival, which happens
Ooh,
downtown.
that
Yeah.
would
And
be nice.
it just had its 23rd year in this past August.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Very
So I
nice.
feel like, yeah, much can be said about any time. I'm just surprised you didn't say autumn. I was just waiting for just a
Yeah, I
blanket.
know.
Autumn is the time of year.
Look, I do love the fall. It's yeah, it is gorgeous, but yeah,
Right.
it's
Rightly
gotta
so.
mix it up, I
Yeah.
think.
Do you have keeping me on my toes?
Right.
Do you have a lot of leaves change in Ohio?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, it's gorgeous.
Hmm.
Um, especially in my area, I'm in the foothill of the Appalachian Mountains, so there's a lot of rolling hills and trees, and even if you drive down towards Cincinnati, I still think you'll get a lot of that. It
Okay.
definitely does flatten out and get a little bit more plain style, not plain as in boring, but plain as in plain state. Um,
Gotcha. Okay.
yes, so as you start to head west and so I'm actually not super familiar, but judging by some of the photos and things that I saw, I think there'd be tons of foliage down there.
Gotcha. Cool. Interesting. We don't have too much of that around here,
Oh, yeah.
but no, the palm trees just stay one color, except when they die, and then that's just
Oh.
brown. But
So do you decorate, say, palm trees for Christmas? Like, does everyone do that down there? Like, have Christmas lights up in
yes.
the nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's huge. Holiday decorations in Florida are huge. I don't know if it's just because people mostly are transplants to
Mhm.
Florida that they miss it from home, but yeah,
Yeah.
most places that I've been to, they go all out for the holidays, which is so much fun.
Very nice. Yeah, I've always considered Florida second Ohio because feel like everyone who lives in Ohio, like, yeah, let's go down to Florida for, be snowbirds. And that's where their second
Yes.
home is.
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay, so here we are in Lebanon, Ohio, and you're about to tell me about your perfect day that you've planned start to finish.
Mhm.
Where are you starting for your perfect day in Lebanon?
Okay, so I think I have to stay at the historic inn, the Golden Lamb. It looks
Mm,
very quaint and almost like an old English spot, like if you were traveling in the UK, that you would be right at home there. So staying at the Golden Lamb, and then I think in the morning I would go to lot number 1, gift shop and coffee shop, so get some fuel and shop around for little knickknacks and just have, like, little local crafts. I think that'd be really fun, and then continue my wandering over to the Lebanon Peddlers Mall. So, full of
mm,
antiques and crafts, and I could just, spend most of the morning there. Um I did notice that there was a company offering hot air balloon rides, throughout Warren
mm.
County, and they were based in Lebanon, so I think I've never been on a hot air balloon ride, so I think I would just have to, and especially if I was going, say, during autumn, I think it would be really beautiful to see all of the foliage and everything from high up, so that sounds really fascinating to me. Um I'd head back downtown and walk around because, as you said, it was super walkable. Swing by the Village Parlor, which is an ice cream parlor,
Mm.
before scheduling a ghost walk or a ghost
Ooh,
visit to the Glendower Mansion. And I'm just a sucker for that kind of, even if it's not something I particularly believe in, I love learning about the darker side of history and some unique lore to the town. So I
yeah.
think having an evening ghost walk would be super fun, and then end the night at the Black Horse Tavern at the Golden Lamb.
Very cool.
Mhm.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I do think that if we were traveling together, we would have a lot of the same stuff to do.
Mhm.
So, on my list too, I
Okay.
did have the hot air balloon rides.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Okay.
because yeah, I also have never been in a hot air balloon. I'm also afraid of heights.
Oh,
However,
no. Okay.
yeah, but
Ooh, you're
I
putting yourself in
figure
danger there.
I know, right? Yeah, you gotta let live. But yeah, I just thought it was really cool. It's called Gentle Breeze Hot Air Balloons, which I think makes me feel better about
Yes.
being high in the airs. It's called
Mhm.
Gentle Breeze.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not scary.
right. But they offer sunset hot air balloon rides,
Oh,
which I
pretty,
think could
yeah.
be really cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's on my list too. I'm starting off at the Breakfast Club, which is just
I
a
did see that.
homey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love anything. I'm a sucker for diners
Mhm.
and anything that has that like family vibe. Just plates for breakfast, nothing crazy,
Yeah.
um, and just great coffee, traditional style stuff. So that would be definitely where I would start. Um, and I did also plan my trip kind of for autumn. I guess that's also my default.
Okay. Right.
But
I
in
can't
the
blame you.
area, I know. Well, yeah, especially because I feel like you have a small town and there's something about coming out of summer that you're just kind of exhausted and whatever. And then the crisp air, and you
Mhm.
have pumpkins and, pies and Halloween. It's just, yeah.
Yep.
So I found a place called Hidden Valley Orchard that offers hay rides. It's an apple orchard. They offer hay rides. They have a tap room with hard ciders, and
Ooh, nice.
yeah, it's just a giant orchard with great views. They have trivia events. They have a bakery too on site, so that just sounded like a lot of fun. And then also at night, I found the Lebanon Grand Opry House,
Oh,
which
cool.
yeah. So on Saturday nights, they do music. It's dancing. It's cover songs. They do rockabilly. They have an Elvis night. And it just sounds like a really cool, unique place to Lebanon that locals congregate and just kick back.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I didn't even come across that. Nice.
Yeah, and I'm also staying at the Golden Lamb
Mhm.
because
Well, I feel
how
like you
can you
have
not?
to. Right.
Right. Yeah, so just also, yeah, the proximity to being in the middle of town and the oldest in the state. They have a restaurant on site, a bar. So you have everything right there, which you can't go wrong when you do that.
Right. Yep.
So that's my perfect day. So we're going on hot air balloon rides
Yep.
and staying
Yeah.
at the Golden Lamb
I
and shopping
mean,
for antiques.
it sounds great to me. Honestly, I'm thinking about the hot air balloon ride. I'm not afraid of heights, but it's one of those things where how do you drive it? Like I mean, I don't understand like what the plan is. Like, do you just float for a while and then you come down and be like, well, we'll have to call someone to come get us. So,
Yes. Yeah, so many things could go wrong there.
mhm.
So anybody from Gentle Breeze Hot Air Balloons, please reach out and let us know how you do it before we sign up.
Yeah, I want to peek behind the curtain because it's pretty high.
Yeah, yes. That's why I don't skydive, but just
Oof,
gonna put that
yeah.
out there. You'll never find that on my perfect day in any part of the world.
I did see an advertisement for skydiving when I was researching Lebanon. I
Oh
don't know if
boy.
there was an actual company or if it was just a targeted ad, but I definitely saw some.
Yikes. Not me. Do not
Yeah,
sign me up for that.
no, hard pass, please. If you're ready to take on this adventure with us, exploring the best small town getaways across the United States, make sure to like and subscribe on whatever listening platform you use.